Okay, for this video we're going to keep talking about solving quadratics, meaning that we're solving equations whose graphs are parabolas, the U-shaped graph. Um, exactly what we get when we actually solve a quadratic, so we find the x value or the z value or the b value, whatever variable is being used, like a z here. Those would be the x-intercepts when you actually go to graph the parabola. So that means if we had something like this and we graph the parabola, it would be right there and right there. It'd be like the spots where it crosses. You notice how because it's a U shape, that parabola shape, it crosses twice. That's why we have the potential of two different answers here. Now be aware it is possible, dependent on the values that we're using, to have something like this. We'll actually put the arrows on here like I should have done before, where there are 0 x-intercepts and you wouldn't get an answer at all. I don't think that's going to happen with this IXL. It would be like if you got a square root of a negative number while you're solving here, and we'll talk about the formula, this quadratic formula that we're going to use. That's when that would happen. If you just end up with a regular two numbers, then you'd get something like this. There's also a third option where the parabola actually sits directly on the x-axis, meaning you would still technically, like, quote unquote, get two answers, but the answer would be the same number twice, so it'd be just one thing, really. So those are our different options. Now, with the previous IXLs that we talked about, we were able to solve them by factoring, and we specifically focused mostly, at least, on product sum factoring. However, product sum factoring does not always work in every given situation. That's where quadratic formula comes in. It actually is going to work no matter what our values are. However, it is a little bit lengthier of a formula. The nice thing is, once you have the formula down, once you know how to use it, it's pretty much going to be the same thing every time, so that makes it a little bit nicer. Alright, let's clear this off here. Remember, if need be, if you're working through this, you can pause, rewind, whatever you need to do. Okay, so I mentioned the quadratic formula. Let's actually write that out now. Typically, they would put like x equals to start the formula. It could be a z or a b, d, t, whatever they use there. It's the variable equals, so I'll just put equals. And then, like I said, it's lengthy, but we'll kind of break down the different pieces. Negative b plus or minus, so that's where the two different answers come in. You run through the formula once with plus, and then a second time with minus, and you get two different answers. You're going to have plus or minus in square root b squared underneath the radical minus 4 times a times c, and that's all underneath this square root here. And then once you find this whole top number, you divide it by 2 times a. And after all that big formula, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, where does a, b, and c come from? Remember when this gets introduced that you have three coefficients in a quadratic here. You have your first number. That's always your a, whatever is attached to the squared. You have your second number, and if there's nothing here, let's actually, instead of circling it, let's show that would be a 1. And that would be your b. And then the last number that's by itself, it gets that symbol with it. The -7 would be your c. So those all get plugged in, like any other formula you would use, just plug them in, and from there it's just calculating. However, there's a lot of room for error because there's a lot going on here. Let's actually work through this one and see how it works out. Let's plug in the numbers first. So our b value is 1. So because I want negative b, I'm going to put negative 1. And then let's do the addition version first. So there's a version where you use plus, and then a second version where you use minus. And like I said, that's how you get two different answers. We're going to have square root of b squared. Well, that's just 1 squared minus 4 times a is 6 and then times c is negative 7. Divided by 2 times the a value was 6. 2 times 6. Okay, so those are all of our numbers plugged in. Remember, that's a 6. There we go, not a b. Here's my suggestion of the kind of order to approach all these. I would not try to plug this all in one big step or anything like that. I would kind of break it down. I would do everything underneath the square root first. So that's just like this part right here I would do first. So let's just do that for a second, maybe off to the side here. 1 squared is 1 minus 4 times 6 times negative 7 would be a negative 168. Got to remember what happens when you subtract a negative. That's like adding, so 1 plus 168 would be 169. So now that we have that number, let's kind of flip back to what we were doing. I could rewrite this, and instead of this underlined part, I would have negative 1 plus square root of 169 divided by, remember that's a 9. 2 times 6, I guess we could go ahead and do that. That's not too challenging. 12. So now there's a lot less to deal with. So that's going from here to this step. From here, let's erase this real quick. From here, let's go right here. The square root of 169. From there, we would get 13. So it would now look like negative 1 plus 13 divided by 12. Negative 1 plus 13, well, that would just be 12. So I would get 12 over 12, and then anything divided by itself would equal 1. So that would tell me I found one of my numbers. Like I said, it's lengthy, especially right off the bat. However, this isn't going to really change for pretty much any problem. Let's go, and we have to remember to find the second one. So that tells me I'm going to do the same process, except that's going to be subtraction now. So we don't have to back up too much. So let's erase a little bit here. Well, this is still going to, oh, let me flip back. This is still going to work out to be 169. The square root of 169 is still 13. This is still negative 1. This is still 12. The difference, this plus needs to be a minus now. So negative 1 minus 13 would be negative 14 over 12. They're telling, I'm looking at this now and seeing we're going to get a fraction or like a decimal. Looks like they're okay with a proper fraction in simplest form, or decimals rounded to the nearest hundredth. If I reduce this, I would get negative 7 over 6. So we could take like a 2 out of each. So that'd be a negative 7, that'd be a 6. I'm thinking that means they'll take it like this. Let's see. Awesome. So that's kind of the game plan for each one. Let's do one more. But like I said, they don't really change for like really any given problem. So not a lot more to discuss. You would just want to, if that was confusing to you, maybe watch back through that a couple times and make sure to leave that formula like I'm doing right now. Let's actually skip ahead. I think there's one like slight variation that they throw at you, but it doesn't change how we attempt the problem. Let's see. So here they're just throwing like a negative 1 at you. That's not really that different. Okay, maybe nothing crazy here. If you get this, if you notice, I'm at an 85 now. This is on the other side of the equal sign. All that would tell you to do is subtract 5r from both sides, and when you do that, it would leave you with 2r squared minus 5r, because you want to put it in order, and then minus 6, and then your a, b, and c would be 2, negative 5, and negative 6. So nothing crazy there. Let's refresh and see if they throw anything else at us. I want to make sure you guys are fully covered. Oh, I didn't really. I'll have to put the formula back up. Oh, there it is. The last video. Okay, this is what I was looking for. The last video, I only did a small amount of examples, and I think when it threw different numbers at you guys, it was a little confusing. So hopefully showing another one, even though they're all kind of using this formula, will help. If you notice, the big difference here is there is no C term shown, and there's nothing on the other side either besides that 0. All that means is that when you go to label, your A is 9, your B is 3, your C would just be 0 then, if there's no like plus or minus anything right here. So A equals 9, B equals 3, C equals, we'd say, 0. Oops, that's a weird 0. There we go. That's slightly better for what I can do. Let's run through it one more time if you need it. If not, you can watch back through the previous example. Let's fill it in first. So negative b would be this number except negative, so negative 3. Let's do the plus version first. That's just easier to me. You could start the other way if you wanted. Square root b squared, so that would be 3 squared. I'll actually write it out instead of just calling it 9, but I think you guys could probably see that pretty quickly. 4 times a is 9, and then also times c, which is 0. Got to remember what multiplying by 0 does. That whole thing is going to get divided by 2 times a, 2 times 9. So as long as you can see where I'm getting these numbers from, it's not much more than plugging into a formula. Alright, again, I'm going to suggest, let's go back to different color and underline here. This is what we're going to start with. And again, I'll do this off to the side. 3 squared we said is 9. minus 4 times 9 times 0. Whatever this is, I mean, you guys could do that, get the 36 pretty quick, but times 0, it's going to just be 0. So 9 minus 0 is still 9. That doesn't really change anything. So we actually don't need to do too much over here. So this 0 is why it's just going to be a 9, in case that's confusing to you. If anything, it actually saves a little bit of work. Okay, so from here, we have negative 3 plus the square root of 9. Let's go ahead and just do that. The square root of 9 is 3. Divided by 2 times 9 is 18. And then equals negative 3 plus 3. That's just 0 over 18. 0 divided by any other number, that's going to give us 0. We also know that we need to do the subtraction version. Let's switch colors for that so you can see it's something different. The only difference is we're going to jump in right here and change this plus to a minus. So negative 3 minus 3 instead of plus over 18. That reduces to negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6 divided by 18. And if I took like a 6 out of each and reduced that, that would reduce down to negative 1 over 3. So you just have to think about reducing at the end. And here we could put negative 1 divided by 3. There we go. Okay, so that's just what you would do if you got something, oh nice, it lined up in the circles, something like this where it didn't have a plus or minus c. Alright, so hopefully this helps. Like I said, you're just using that same formula over and over again. The reason we have this formula is it works when product sum formula doesn't, although like I said, it's a little bit more time consuming if you're good at product sum. Maybe if product sum is not your forte, then this is just as good. I would show you where this quadratic formula comes from. Maybe we'll do that in a different video. To be honest, it's a little convoluted, it's a little challenging for someone taking like Algebra 1, and I don't think we really need that for what we're doing on this IXL at least. Alright, let me know if you guys have questions and we'll get this taken care of. Keep enjoying your break, stay safe, we'll see you guys.